What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Kickin It with Kunkel. Jerry Foltz, analyst for the LIV Tour, in town this weekend. How's it going,
Sitting
dude?
here with you brings up my coolness factor so much, Will.
I don't know about all that.
Now, we've known each other for a few years. Haven't seen you in a while. You look younger than you did last time. I don't know how you're doing it.
We both have good makeup people ourselves. How's the LIV Tour treating you? You guys in town this weekend out in Humble?
Humble.
Enjoying it?
At the Golf Club of Houston. It's a fantastic facility. We're excited. Yeah, it's our first trip to the great state of Texas, to the Lone Star State. The course is fantastic. The build out there, if you haven't been, people who haven't been to a LIV event or seen a LIV event, is second to none. It's you combine a party atmosphere with a golf tournament with some of the brightest stars and most recognizable names in the game, and you do it in a fun environment. It's a shotgun start. It's over in 5 hours. Family friendly, like you can't believe. It's really a cool experience. I'm enjoying the hell out of it.
All right, I'm going to learn a lot this podcast and this episode of
Well, I'll bring a teacher in then because I'm not the guy for that.
Because I don't know a lot about the LIV Tour. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, you and I were talking about this prior, and from the outside in, I don't know what the end game is for them. Do they have to just steal everybody from the PGA Tour? Do they have to come here on Fox in order to become relevant? Like, so for you, first of all, how is it working with the LIV Tour? How, not that you're going to say anything bad, but what's it like and what was different because you used to cover the LPGA as well?
First of all, it's a common mistake. It's the LIV Golf League. It's actually the whole business model of LIV Golf is the team aspect of it, and it's a league, much like you see
versus what LIV Tour is that? What
a tour? Yeah.
Okay,
Most people call it a tour. It's not a tour. It's a league because you're a member of a league. There's no change in the makeup of that league throughout the course of the year, unless somebody gets hurt and you get an alternate playing. So it's all modeled after the team sports that you see worldwide that are wildly successful, be it football, be it cricket. A lot of our business model is after cricket. What does it need to get bigger? I think our numbers in every metric in the industry that you can look at are showing steady and sometimes very rapid growth from a consumption standpoint throughout the world. Now, obviously, domestically, we fight an uphill battle because of the ongoing push and shoving between the PGA Tour and the powers that be that protect the PGA Tour. So it's been an uphill battle there, but even there, we've made huge inroads. So I don't think we need to attract a lot more of the newer names because we have all the recognizable names, all the strong personalities, and many of the greatest players in the game currently as members of LIV Golf League. And yes, there were guaranteed contracts to get them to come over, but none of them want to go back. They all love it.
What do they love most about the
quality of life? First of all, you're playing as a member of a team, and a team that has an organization that takes care of you. You don't have to do it all yourself. All of your arrangements, everything's taken care of for you. The caddies love it too because all of their arrangements are taken care of for them. You instead of having a bad day and your whole identity being based on your score, you're now a member of a team with a support system to pick you up, to rally you, to kick in.
I love this.
Kick you in the butt.
Horrible golfer, scrambles are my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Like, I can go out, have a couple cocktails, hang out, hit a great drive, let the whole course know that I just did that.
Yeah.
And then be terrible the rest of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. If John Doe is a PGA Tour member and he's playing, say, the Houston Open, and he's having a bad day or a bad week, he might mail it in on Friday, miss the cut, and go work with his instructor in the off week and know that he has all these opportunities ahead of him. LIV is 14 event schedule. 13 of them have an individual prize. Those are a set schedule. You have to play those weeks. You can't say, oh, I'm going to take the week off. I'm going to miss the cut anyway. You have to play those weeks because your score is going to count on Sunday for your team. The first 2 days, it's 3 of the 4 players on the team count. The fourth day, all 4 team scores count. Those guys are relying on you. And there is a massive amount of money available for the team pool, team purse, to fund those teams so those teams become more and more profitable.
As you know, golf is all about tradition. Like, even on the PGA Tour, no one really cares about the Canadian Open or the Travelers Open or the Arnold Palmer's tournament or whatever. Everyone cares about the Masters. Everyone cares about the majors and the U.S. Open, all of those. So how do you get traditionalists like me, only because that's all I've known,
right,
over to LIV and take an interest in that? Like, what says to me that I care that Team X won this event?
It's a tough sell for the hardcore avid golf traditionalist audience to buy into the team aspect until they actually watch it or show up and witness it, and then they kind of get a feel for it. You listen to the players speak in their interviews, and when John Rahm played his first event in Mexico and a crushing defeat individually because he had a chance to win, and then all of a sudden in the blink of an eye he realized his team just won, and he went from disappointed individual competitor to proud papa in an instant. And it wasn't forced, it wasn't fake, it wasn't some league provided talking point. It was genuine emotion. He's the captain of this Legion 13 team, and he was proud papa. That part is really cool. Now from a traditionalist standpoint, they watch because of the golf. They love great golf. We have great golfers, some of the greatest in the world. From the new audience standpoint, we have a team sport which you've never seen before in golf, except for the Ryder Cup, which is the greatest event in all of golf.
It truly is.
So we bring that aspect each and every week, and and the teams all are developing their own identities. We have an all-Australian team, an all-South African team, 2 all-Latin teams, an all-American team, and the 4 aces. So they develop that, and then the younger audience and the new to golf audience who would never go to a boring ass tournament where you spend all day out there in the sun, 14 hours a day, and you might get to see 3 or 4 of the stars walk by. You come to a LIV event, you got music playing, you got a little bit of a party atmosphere, and in 5 hours, because of the shotgun start, you see all of the stars without even moving, and you have a great time doing it. So you attract more of the top golf audience than I'm going to carry my clubs at the fancy country club where cell phones aren't allowed and speakers aren't allowed.
How are these teams established? Are there owners? Are you just highest bidder, go for the most money, or is it just friends getting together, signing up?
Originally, to get the league started, there are stakeholder players who were given a share of certain teams. Obviously, you know who a lot of those names are: Phil Mickelson, Dustin Johnson, Bryson DeChambeau, John Rahm. And then the league also now controls a majority of those teams. Those teams eventually will be able to be purchased through private ownership groups. And there's already, so many people have come to the league trying to purchase them already and get a deal on them because they know what they're going to be worth in 3, 4, 5, 10 years. It would be a steal right now to be able to get one for the numbers.
What's a steal? Like my wife and I are always looking to invest.
You can't get them. That's the thing. They're not selling them yet. So yeah, the team business model is wherein lies the long-term investment for the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia. This is not. There's a lot of goals to be accomplished through this massive investment that they've made in LIV Golf. One of them is to grow the game and to grow it both domestically in Saudi Arabia, diversify it, and to expose it to markets that would never see it. It lives a truly international league, and they're exposing golf to markets and people and kids who would never see it. And curiosity is the seed by which participation grows. And you come out to an event and it's kind of cool, and maybe you can convince dad to take you to the driving range or the local Top Golf, and then that end grows the game. I know it sounds cliche, I know it sounds very easy and cheap to say, but it's absolutely true. Growing the game, number one is return on investment. That's what they want. The whole point of it is a return on investment for the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Saudi Arabia. Look no farther than that. Some of the other goals that are accomplished in that process are growing the game domestically and abroad, are introducing it to new markets. There's so many ancillary byproducts of good that come out of an investment like this that they've made.
This is like anything, and when you have a good product but no one knows about it, the issue is marketing, getting it out there, getting someone on property to experience it, getting it in front of their face on TV to watch it. Therefore, they can feel all the emotions that you clearly have when you're talking about it. How does that happen? Because no one's turning on CW. It's not appointment television at this point.
Right.
So the next goal is to get it on somewhere like Fox.
Right.
When does that happen? Can that happen soon? What does that business look like?
You're talking domestically. Obviously, that's
Sure.
the world in which we operate. We were in Australia. Australia has a country of 24, 25 million people.
Sure.
On their Fox, which we were on. I think it was their Fox network, their 7 network. We did 1.4 million.
Wow.
1.4 million for basically any sporting event in the States. Any nationally televised baseball game doesn't do 1.4 million. And this is a country of 330 million. That's less than 10% down there, and we did over 1 million.
What was the big draw for them? Like, was there someone in particular?
It's
was
Australia.
a team in particular?
No, there's the Australian team, but it's Australia. They don't get world-class sporting events down there very much. You get the
Sure.
Australian Open tennis, you get F1, And of course, their
And then
Aussie
they're
Rules
gone.
football is huge. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and no big golf events. It's the biggest golf event to ever hit Australia, including the President's Cup when it was there. It's kind of our Super Bowl now, but we're hoping that we can model a few more of them like that. Maybe Houston could become one of them. Nashville in a couple weeks looks very promising. So domestically, when Fox got the NFL, Fox became a player in the game. Years and years ago, I'm old, so I know this stuff. They were the forgotten stepchild, much like people view CW as now. But CW's got exciting, diverse, or very sophisticated new ownership that is willing to try and become that new Fox, that next Fox in the game. They're already in college athletics, in the ACC athletics. They're getting into NASCAR. Obviously, they started their sports line with LIV Golf. So I don't know if we continue after this year with CW or it's the negotiations with other potential carriers of our product. I know that it continues. The audience continues to grow. Whether we end up with a huge, blow them out of the park PGA Tour style rights fee negotiation is another story. I think that's unrealistic expectations at this point, because from the very beginning, we have gone against a monumentally behemoth of a monopoly known as the PGA Tour. And part of being a monopoly is to try and beat the competition. And they pulled every trick in the book to try and do so. And we've surpassed every single hurdle in the process.
Yeah, it feels like a climb. Like genuinely, like step by step by step. Some small, some large, some inconsequential to the fan, some huge consequences to the fan. What's the next step to get the PGA Tour and you guys on the same page, working together for the consumer? Because right now it seems like there's a whole lot of egos. There's a whole lot of money where PGA probably wants a lot more than they're willing to give up because they're late to the table. At the same time, LIV also needs probably the PGA and the eyeballs and everything that they have to offer. Like, everyone has something to offer right now.
Right.
How do we get these guys on the same page and working together so that we can finally watch an amazing event such as LIV versus PGA, like a Ryder Cup?
Awesome.
It would be astounding, because there's a lot of animosity and drama behind it. Yeah. For right or wrong reasons, it would be incredible.
Yeah, it would be absolutely awesome.
People like us could just drive that drama up and up and up.
Right, because of the 2 years of vitriol and all the stuff that's been said publicly, and the hatred that you see, be it through social media, even from some of the stars of the game, has been. I mean, it made golf the #1 news story for the better part of 6 weeks in 2022. #1 news story worldwide. That doesn't happen in sports, much less in golf. For 6 weeks, LIV was a #1 news story. That to me is astounding worldwide. What needs to happen? There are negotiations ongoing between PIF, Public Investment Fund, and the PGA Tour for some kind of either merger, joint venture, or peaceful coexistence. I think I have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. Nobody does. All of those negotiations have been done very privately. But I think there will be some sort of deal this year that gives us a little more clarification as to where things are headed. We do know one thing for sure. LIV is not going away. LIV's business model is not going to change. And hopefully there becomes a way where there may be a little intermingling of the talent pool, but that's not necessary. There just needs to be able to appeal to the audience that we're all in this together now. We could have been that way from the beginning, but one party in these two-party negotiations wouldn't answer the phone.
Yeah, PGA obviously was, like you said, a monopoly. They were the big kid on the block. They were the only kid on the block. They dominated everything. So they
were dominating worldwide.
For sure.
More of the market share worldwide.
And they didn't need to come to the table. So from their perspective, they were it seems like at this point, very short-sighted. And
looking back now, they made a mistake by underestimating what LIV was.
So the best case scenario, everyone comes together, unity, everyone's happy. Worst case scenario, we keep fighting, keep bickering, nothing ever really happens. What do you think actually happens? Do we get the best case scenario or somewhere in the middle? Because I don't think we stand still, because I think there's too much money to be lost on both sides.
Yeah, I don't think standing still is in the best interest of either entity.
I agree.
I know one entity can withstand it a lot longer than the other, and that one's obvious. I think we get somewhere in the middle in the short term, and I think we get a best case scenario 5 years down the road.
What does that look like? Like, well, for instance.
Well, first of all, everybody says LIV has hurt the game of golf. It hasn't hurt the game of golf one bit. Participation has never been higher in this game, nationwide and worldwide. A lot of that is because COVID and people rediscovered their love for the game or were introduced to it. A lot of it is because Topgolf has introduced golf to people who would never consider going to a golf course and how boring it was. And a lot of it's the athletes who have made golf cool. Tiger Woods has made golf cool. Lexi Thompson for the young girls made golf cool. So a lot of it is that. But golf has never been healthier as an industry and as a sport. I mean, golf course operations are so profitable across the globe, especially here in the States. What LIV Golf did hurt was the PGA Tour, and their numbers are dwindling on TV almost every single week, year over year. And this is coming into our third year of existence. So it hasn't hurt the game. It's hurt the landscape of the professional game from a traditionalist viewer standpoint. But we now give them an option for something that we think is a lot more fun to watch.
But to be fair, the LIV would kill to get the numbers that the PGA has at this point, right? And that's why a marriage would be like ideal.
Worldwide, we are.
Domestically, I'm always speaking domestically. So you have such a broad world view.
I work for an international
in my
conglomerate
domestic bubble here.
Yeah, no, and I lived in that bubble for 27 years of my broadcast career. The numbers for LIV domestically will continue to grow, and if a broadcast deal comes along that has a wider reach from a more sports-oriented destination viewing platform, yes. But remember, at least half of our events typically, if not more, will be played internationally, and nobody watches tape-delayed sports. So I don't know how important that is for the overall growth of the sport and maybe the acceptance and the levels of accomplishment that you gauge by domestic TV ratings. I don't know how important that is to the overall success of the business model and of the league.
I think the most important thing to me as a fan is that there's maybe a healthy rivalry between the two if they're both to coexist and not be completely together. But most importantly, the majors still exist. They still carry their weight in the world of golf, and that the LIV players can play and participate in that as well. And there could be some sort of crossover, because I think that's what's best for the game. And you want the best baseball in the world is all with the Major League Baseball. The best hockey, NHL. The best soccer, Premier League. The best football is the NFL. And the best golf used to be the PGA. It is no longer necessarily only the PGA on a given weekend. So therefore, to not have the best of the best all together in some fashion, I think hurts the game from a viewership fan standpoint. Maybe not for local municipalities and their golf course, sure. But I think if we could somehow get them together and cross over and play and compete, it would be just awesome. Even in a traditional sense as well, where it's solo golf like we have known traditionally, and maybe even crossover with teams.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think I think he should be in the negotiations, actually.
I would love to.
Well, very well
call
put.
my agent.
Right now, the PGA Tour never had all of the best players playing at the same time. But now they have a business model where they have these elevated events to try and get all their stars to play. And
what do you mean when you say that?
Well, no, they play every week, and no players play every week. Tiger Woods played 18 events a year max when he was playing at his peak.
So you're saying like every single weekend, not everyone.
No, you get a couple of them. You get a couple of them,
everyone, you always wait to like who's in this tournament.
Right.
In your local town.
Yeah, and it's bad when you go to the local town like Houston Open, and Will Kunkel's out there to cover it, and he does that Wednesday night hit to tell his viewers about the tournament, and you go through the laundry list of players who aren't there. Mm-hmm. We don't have that in LIV.
We're still waiting on Tiger, and it's always waiting on Tiger.
Right.
And I think the PGA is now learning that Tiger flame's burning out, and it's burning out really quickly, so those numbers are dwindling as well.
Yeah, it's quite a phenomenon to watch. You mentioned the majors. The majors they don't have a dog in this fight. Obviously, they have relationships with all the long-established institutions of the game, including the PGA Tour. So they weren't exactly on our side, on LIV's side starting off, but most of them have come around. Yesterday, the USGA, John Bodenhammer, their chief of operations, of tournament
formerly
operations.
Formerly of ESPN, George?
No, John Bodenhammer.
John. I said George Bodenhammer. Okay.
No, John Bodenhammer from the state of Washington. Great amateur golfer. I knew him as a kid. Anyway, he was the first to say publicly that, yes, they are considering and looking at pathways into the U.S. Open based on LIV Golf accomplishments. The PGA last month was the first one to actually do that when they granted a number of special exemptions to LIV golfers, including Taylor Gooch, our last year's individual season champion, who didn't play in enough other stuff to try and get the world ranking points to get in that way. It was an indirect, direct endorsement of LIV Golf and the players we have.
And I think Gooch's name became a household name, at least amongst golf fans, because of the platform the PGA gave him,
Right.
to be fair. And that's why, again, the marriage is so critical, at least right now.
Yeah.
One's dying, one's growing, and neither one are going to do well by themselves. You disagree? You think over time LIV will live it out?
Very nice pun.
See?
Nice pun. I see what you did there. You're so witty.
It's 1 year of journalism.
I
school.
think you got me beat by one. I think over time, yeah, LIV is the premier league of golf.
I don't think you're wrong. I really don't.
Yeah.
But how long? How long is that? Because it's not like PGA is a year away from being defunct. It's going to be.
Well, you might be surprised.
Oh, great! Really? Go on.
No. I've heard rumors of how until the June 6th last year framework agreement was announced, how long until they basically ran out. But that's neither here nor there, and it's innuendo, and it's not going to be repeated. But because I have a ton of friends. I'm a PGA Tour fan. I have a ton of friends who work within the organization.
Former player.
And a lot of great people. I was more of a competitor than a player.
Would you win the Taco Bell Open? Is that right?
That wasn't a PGA Tour event. But I did win the Nike South Carolina Classic, now on the Corn Ferry Tour. I think they're going to do fine. I think they're redesigning their business model to be able to, and they've raised some private equity money, and they're hoping to get more with a joint venture type deal with LIV and the PIF. And I think it's all, the dust is going to settle pretty soon. But now we have two of the four majors already taking steps in the direction of recognizing LIV, because whether they will admit it or not, the PGA Tour has used the OWGR, the World Golf Rankings, as a leverage in negotiating with LIV. And also a way of guaranteeing that their television contracts are honored based on the rights fees that they've negotiated and a strength of field that they've promised to deliver CBS and NBC. And without controlling those World Golf Rankings, those numbers would dwindle, thus the rights fee would dwindle. It's an economic thing for them. The majors have long used the OWGR as their criteria for getting into their major championships. LIV guys no longer receive points because of the political nature of the ongoing battle against LIV from the PGA Tour standpoint. So now the majors are realizing we have a greater responsibility here, and that is to guarantee our championships, our legacies, the best field we can, the greatest championship we can put on, and the best winner. And so now two of the four have already, and I'm sure the Masters will do something similar, as the Open Championship could do something as early as this year.
If you guys could pick four golfers that are not part of the LIV, who would they be? I assume Rory's number one. I know you don't. I'm not saying need.
I think we got the biggest name in the game this year, and it wasn't Jon Rahm. I think we got the biggest mythical name in the game this year, in Anthony Kim. I mean, the whole world was wondering what Anthony Kim was up to.
Here's this world talk again.
Yeah.
We're
the whole
very
golf,
small-minded here.
The whole
okay?
golf universe, the whole golf ecosystem. It's like Anthony Kim disappeared from the game at his peak for 12 years, and he comes back 14 or whatever it was, 12 years, and he comes back without hitting a golf ball in a dozen years, fighting his own personal battles, and now on the road to happiness and recovery, and he joined us and not the PGA Tour, and he had offers from both. I think that was huge. If you were looking at my dream list of guys from the PGA Tour who we could sign, I would say the fun ones. Not necessarily going to go.
Rory?
Rory,
you don't leave Rory on the table, do you?
I don't think you leave Rory on the table if it's economically feasible.
He's single now too. Like, that's fun, Rory.
That's
imagine.
what I hear. Yeah. I've also heard other rumors. I'm not sure. But I go for the guys that are a lot of fun, the guys who have fan. I think Ricky Fowler.
Oh, heck yeah.
I think Ricky Fowler.
Whatever,
even
though
he
Ricky
might
have success, I want.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like, whatever format that's in, I want the orange back, and I want fun Ricky.
Yeah.
And I want the golf boys partying again on the course.
Yeah, I mean, if he might be past his playing prime, he thinks his best days are still ahead of him. We don't know, but I want the fun guys, the ones that treat people right, the ones that treat kids right, the ones that have a good time out there and can seriously play the game. We've got most of them.
Who else are they? Who are the fun guys on the tour? Because I think that's an interesting conversation because there's so many stiffs.
Yeah.
But are they stiffs because that's who they are, or are they stiffs because the tour says this is who we are and you conform?
Well, the culture of professional golf to get to that level is a little vanilla.
I mean, Scotty Scheffler's got a whole lot of street cred in Louisville now.
Yeah.
After getting pinched for taking a left turn.
I don't know. I mean, Scheffler's such a great guy, but honestly, I think it's all about fan identity with the teams and our players. And I don't really know what names to throw out there. Besides
Jordan Spieth, Rory.
Jordan Spieth to an extent, yeah. Jordan's a nice guy, great guy. Fans love him. Rory,
obviously, I think Ricky's obviously the
Ricky would be great. You look at a Wyndham Clark, who just seems to be like a really cool guy. I'm not sure you want some of the guys who never smile.
All right,
very cool.
Jerry, you're the best, man.
Cheers.
Thanks for coming on here. Everyone, don't forget, Kickin' It with Kunkel every Friday and always available on Fox Local.